This is Real Talk with Preshpen, where we say what people are thinking but won't say. Welcome back. And then if this is your first time here, I'm really glad you're here. We are in week 2 of our June theme, Soft Life or Hard Truth. And if last week's conversation shook something in you, this one might shake it even more. Because some of us are no longer healing from pain, we're organizing our entire lives around avoiding it. Last week, we talked about the soft life, whether it's healing you or hiding you, and the response was overwhelming. So many of you reached out. So many of you said,
"That episode described my life and I didn't even know it."
So today, we go deeper because there's one word that kept showing up in everything you sent in. Boundaries. Everyone is talking about them. Everyone is setting them. Everyone is proud of them. And I'm not here to say that's wrong. Boundaries are important. Boundaries are necessary. Boundaries can save your life. But here's the question nobody is asking. Are your boundaries protecting you, or are they protecting you from growing? Are they keeping the wrong people out, or are they keeping everyone out? Are they a standard you live by, or a wall you hide behind? My guest today is a behavioral psychologist and relationship coach who has spent years studying how people use and misuse the concept of boundaries. Welcome to Real Talk, Dr. Felix Mensah.
Thank you, Preshpen. And I have to say, I've been wanting to have this conversation publicly for a very long time because boundaries have become one of the most misunderstood concepts in modern self-help. And the misunderstanding is costing people more than they realize.
Say more about that. What is the misunderstanding costing people?
It's costing them connection. It's costing them growth. It's costing them the very things they say they want. Love, intimacy, deep friendship, because they've built a life that makes those things impossible to access. And the painful irony is they did it in the name of self-care.
That's heavy. Let's unpack that slowly.
Layer 1. What boundaries were meant to be.
Before we get into the misuse, let's start at the foundation. What is a boundary actually? Because I think a lot of people are working with the wrong definition. Dr. Mensah, what is a boundary?
A boundary is a line that defines what you will and won't accept based on your values. Not your fears, not your trauma, not your past, your values. That's the part people miss. A real boundary says, I won't accept this because it goes against who I am and what I stand for. But a lot of what people call boundaries today are actually just walls. And walls don't come from values. They come from pain.
Walk me through that difference, values versus pain, because in the moment they can feel the same.
That's a great point. And absolutely, because both feel like protection. But here's how I help people tell them apart. I ask them, this situation were completely safe. If you knew for certain you wouldn't get hurt, would you still have this boundary? If the answer is yes, it's a value. If the answer is no, it's a wound wearing the mask of a value.
A boundary is built from values. A wall is built from wounds.
A wound wearing the mask of a value. I've never heard it put that way.
And that wound deserves compassion. I want to be clear about that. The pain that created it is real. The hurt that built the wall was real. But a wound is something you heal, not something you build your life around.
So what's the difference between a wall and a boundary?
A boundary lets the right things in and keeps the wrong things out. A wall keeps everything out, the good and the bad, because it's not filtering, it's just blocking. A boundary is selective. A wall is total. And most people don't realize they've moved from one to the other until they look up one day and realize they're completely alone.
Layer 2. When boundaries become avoidance.
So when does a boundary cross the line into avoidance? What does that transition look like?
It's rarely dramatic. That's what makes it so dangerous. It usually starts with something legitimate. Someone gets hurt, deeply, genuinely hurt, and they set a boundary, which is healthy, which is right. But then the boundary expands. One betrayal becomes, I don't trust people easily. Then slowly, I don't let people in.
That's a heavy realization.
And eventually, I don't need anyone. And that's the moment survival turns into isolation.
Getting smaller while feeling stronger, that's such a contradiction. But it's so true.
It is, because strength and openness are supposed to grow together. The stronger you become emotionally, the more you can afford to be open, because you trust yourself to handle whatever comes. But when avoidance masquerades as strength, it does the opposite. The stronger you feel, the more closed you become, and eventually you've protected yourself all the way into isolation.
And they call that peace.
Which is the most heartbreaking part, because it is peaceful, in the way that an empty room is peaceful. There's no conflict, there's no disappointment, there's no heartbreak, but there's also no intimacy. Nothing touches you anymore. There's no laughter, no surprise, no one who knows your middle name and calls you on a hard day.
They built a cage for themselves and called it a palace.
So they traded connection for safety and convinced themselves they got the better deal.
Until they're sitting alone at 2 a.m. wondering why peace feels so heavy.
Layer 3. The role of trauma.
Let's talk about trauma here, because I think for a lot of people, the walls didn't come from nowhere. They came from real experiences, real betrayal, real abuse, real people who took advantage of their openness.
I agree completely.
So how do you tell someone whose trust was genuinely destroyed that the walls they built are a problem?
You don't start there. That's not the first conversation. What happened to you was real. Your response to it was logical. If you grew up in an environment where being open got you hurt, your mind and body learned very early that openness was dangerous.
That's not weakness, that's survival. Your body was trying to protect you.
So the wall was necessary at some point.
Absolutely necessary, maybe even life-saving.
But here's the thing about survival responses. They don't update themselves automatically. Your mind learned the rule in one painful season. Openness equals danger.
And then carried that rule everywhere, even when your life changed. So now you're a grown adult in a new city, a new relationship, a new season of life. And your body is still reacting like you're back in the place that first hurt you.
Carrying old rules into new rooms.
Carrying old rules into new rooms and wondering why nothing ever works out. The wall protected you then, but it's imprisoning you now. And the work of healing is learning to tell the difference.
How do you do that work? Practically. What does that look like?
It starts with noticing, not changing, just noticing.
When you feel the urge to shut down, to pull back, to cancel plans or push someone away, just pause and ask. This response about what's actually happening right now, or is it about something that happened before?
The wall protected you then, but it's imprisoning you now.
Most of the time when people really sit with that question, they realize the threat isn't current. They're protecting themselves from something that already ended.
Protecting yourself from something that already ended. I think a lot of people listening right now just realized how much of their life is being controlled by something that isn't even happening anymore.
Layer 4. Going deeper.
Let's go even deeper, because I think there's something underneath all of this that we haven't named yet. Why is it so easy to confuse avoidance with boundaries? What makes them feel the same?
Because they produce the same short-term result. When you avoid something painful, you feel relief. When you set a healthy boundary, you also feel relief.
The feeling is identical in the moment. The difference only shows up over time. A healthy boundary brings you closer to the life you want. Avoidance slowly shrinks the life you're living.
So you only know which one it was by looking back.
Exactly. And most people don't look back. They just keep setting more boundaries, wondering why they still feel empty, wondering why connection feels impossible, wondering why they're so peaceful but so lonely at the same time.
When peace and loneliness are living in the same house, something has gone too far.
That line right there, say it again.
When peace and loneliness are living in the same house, something has gone too far.
And I think a lot of people are living in that house right now. They just haven't admitted it yet.
Because admitting it feels like undoing all the work they did.
If I acknowledge that I'm lonely, does that mean my boundaries were wrong? Does that mean I should have stayed in the situations that hurt me?
And the answer is no, absolutely not.
Acknowledging loneliness doesn't erase the validity of the boundaries you set. It just means it's time for the next step. Time to ask, what do I let back in now? And how do I do it safely?
Layer 5. Boundaries in relationships.
Let's talk about this in the context of romantic relationships specifically, because I think that's where most people feel this the most.
Romantic relationships are where avoidance disguised as boundaries does the most damage, because the stakes are the highest. I work with a lot of people who say they want love.
They genuinely do, they're not lying. But then when love shows up, when someone good shows up, they find reasons. They're too available, that's suspicious. They're too kind, what are they hiding? They never fight with me, something is wrong.
And that is one of the most painful things I see in my work. Someone who has done so much healing, who has set so many boundaries, who has done the journaling and the therapy and the work, and then a genuinely good person arrives and they self-sabotage because their nervous system doesn't recognize safety, it only recognizes familiar. And familiar was painful.
So they push the good person away and call it a boundary.
They call it, I just know my worth now, or I'm not settling.
And sometimes that's true, but sometimes they're not raising their standards. They're running from intimacy and using the language of self-worth to make it sound noble.
How does someone know if they're raising standards or running from intimacy?
Ask yourself this, am I moving towards something or away from something? A standard moves you toward what you actually want. Avoidance moves you away from what frightens you. One is driven by clarity, the other is driven by fear, and only you know which one is sitting in the driver's seat.
Layer 6, the hard truth.
So what's the hard truth today? The thing people need to hear, even if it's uncomfortable.
The hard truth is, a boundary that isolates you is not protecting your peace, it's protecting your fear. And fear is a terrible architect. It builds structures that keep you safe in the smallest possible way. Real boundaries are not about shutting the world out. They are about deciding how the world gets in. There's a big difference between I don't allow disrespect and I don't allow anyone close enough to even try.
One is a standard, the other is a shutdown.
And I want to say something to the people who have been living in the shutdown. You are someone who got hurt and did the only thing that made sense at the time.
You're allowed to want more now. I think that's what a lot of people needed to hear today. Last question. For the person listening who just realized their boundary might actually be a wall, what is the very first thing they should do?
Don't tear the wall down. That's the instinct, to overcorrect, to suddenly open up to everyone because you realize you've been closed. Don't do that. That's just trading one extreme for another. Instead, just put a door in it. One door, one person, one situation, one small place where you choose to let something real in.
And notice what happens. Notice that you survived it. Notice that being seen didn't destroy you. Notice that vulnerability in the right context doesn't feel like weakness. Sometimes it feels like finally putting something heavy down. It feels like relief.
Put a door in the wall, not tear it down, just put a door in it.
Healing doesn't happen all at once. It happens in small acts of courage that nobody else sees. One honest conversation, one moment of letting someone in, one time you stayed when everything in you said run. That's how the wall becomes a boundary. Slowly, intentionally, on your own terms.
Dr. Felix, this was one of the most important conversations I've had on this show. Thank you for your honesty. Thank you for the care you clearly have for people.
Thank you for asking the questions people are afraid to ask themselves. That's a gift.
That's today's Real Talk. Check your walls. Not every wall needs to come down, but maybe it's time to stop living with no doors. I'll see you in the next episode.